June 2020, United Airlines needs $5 billion fast. It owns a fleet of aircraft, hundreds of them, sitting in the desert doing nothing worth billions. It mortgaged none of them. Goldman Sachs, Barclays and Morgan Stanley committed $5 billion in the worst month in the history of commercial aviation. And the collateral they accepted was not a single aircraft, or a gate, or a landing slot. It was the frequent flyer program, its brand, its software, and the data of its members. To borrow against it, United had to disclose what MileagePlus was actually worth, $21.9 billion, for a points scheme, a database of miles that costs essentially nothing to produce. Now hold that against this. $4.50. That is the net profit the global airline industry expects to make in 2026 on each passenger it carries. One passenger, one seat, one flight. Those two numbers describe the same company, which means the airline business is not the business you think it is. To understand how a points scheme ends up worth $21 billion, you first have to understand how bad the actual flying business is. And it is much worse than most people realize. Between 1945 and the year 2000, the entire global airline industry, every carrier, every route, every decade, produced $36 billion of cumulative net profit. 55 years of aviation. That sounds like a lot until you convert it to a margin. 0.8%. People assume airlines are unprofitable because they are badly run. Some are, but the pattern is too consistent across too many countries, too many decades, and too many management teams for that to be the explanation. The problem is structural, and it comes down to 4 features that happen to be the 4 worst features a business can have at the same time. A seat from New York to Chicago on one airline is the same seat from New York to Chicago on another. Same duration, same destination, roughly the same aircraft. When the product is identical, the customer sorts by price. When the customer sorts by price, the airline with the lowest fare wins the sale, and every competitor is forced to match it. A hotel room that goes unsold tonight can be sold tomorrow night. A seat that departs empty is gone. Its value hits zero the instant the aircraft doors close. That creates a brutal incentive. In the final hours before departure, almost any price above the cost of the extra fuel is better than nothing. Every airline knows this. Every airline does it. The result is an industry that systematically sells its own product below the price it needs to survive. The aircraft lease is due whether the plane is full or empty. So is the gate. So are the pilots. So is the maintenance schedule. Roughly speaking, the cost of flying a route barely changes with how many people are on board. Which means the airline is desperate to fill seats. Which means it discounts. Which takes us back to problem 1. You cannot buy 10% of an aircraft. You order a fleet, you wait years, and it arrives whether or not demand still justifies it. So the industry chronically overshoots. Every boom produces an order book that lands in the middle of the next downturn. Put those 4 together, and you get a machine that converts capital into passenger miles with almost no profit left over. This is why Warren Buffett spent decades warning people off the sector. His argument was never that airlines are unimportant. It was that they are a commodity business with punishing fixed costs, and that customers treat seats as interchangeable. Then 2020 happened. Between 2020 and 2022, the global industry lost $200 billion. Cumulatively, in 3 years it destroyed several times the profit it had made in the entire second half of the 20th century. The recovery was real. In 2025, the industry made $45 billion at a 4.2% margin, a record in absolute terms. And then within 6 months, half of it evaporated. In December 2025, IATA projected $41 billion of net profit for 2026. By June 2026, it had cut that to $23 billion. The margin went from a projected 3.9% to 2%. Profit per passenger fell from $7.90 to $4.50. The reasons: jet fuel rising from $90 a barrel to a projected $152, a jump of nearly 70%. War in the Middle East closing airspace almost completely for a period. Global GDP growth falling to 2.5%. That is the industry, a 2% margin that halves when the price of one input moves. So how are Delta and United posting the numbers they post? They are not doing it by flying you. Here is the thing almost nobody outside the industry understands about frequent flyer miles. An airline mile is not a discount. It is not a marketing gimmick. It is a currency the airline prints at will, at essentially zero marginal cost, and then sells for real dollars to a bank. The mechanism works like this. A bank wants affluent customers to carry its credit card and put spending on it. Card issuers make money on interchange fees and on interest, and the customers worth having are the ones who spend a lot. So the bank needs something to give them. The airline has something to give: miles. And the airline can create as many as it wants because a mile is a database entry. So the bank buys miles from the airline in bulk, for cash up front, and then hands them to cardholders at a rate of roughly 1 or 2 miles per dollar spent. Notice what just happened. The airline received actual money. What it gave up was a promise, redeemable later, at a rate the airline itself controls, on seats the airline decides to make available. Now, how much of the miles business is actually about flying? United had to answer that question in writing. For lenders, in 2020, 71% of the cash MileagePlus generated came from selling miles to third parties, mostly Chase. 29% came from miles that people earned by actually flying United. Read that again. In the loyalty program of a major airline, flying the airline is the minority use case, not the point of the program, a side channel. The rest of the disclosure filled in the picture. Over 100 million members, $5.3 billion of annual cash flow, equal to 12% of the entire airline's revenue, $1.8 billion of EBITDA, which was 26% of United's adjusted EBITDA. $1 in $4 of United's operating earnings came from the points program. And one more line, which is the quiet one. Members had consistently been earning 20 to 30% more miles than they redeemed. That gap is not an accident. It is the float. Every mile issued and never used is revenue collected against a liability that never comes due. Across the major U.S. carriers, loyalty now contributes between 7 and 10% of total revenue. That does not sound dominant, but revenue is the wrong lens, because loyalty revenue arrives with margins that flight operations cannot come close to. Look at it through operating margin instead, and the picture inverts completely. Courtney Miller at Visual Approach Analytics ran the numbers on the 2024 operating profits of the 5 most profitable U.S. airlines. Here is what he found. Delta, 10.5% operating margin. Strip out loyalty revenue, and it becomes negative 2.5%. United, 8.9%. Without loyalty, negative 1.9%. American, 4.8%. Without loyalty, negative 8.3%. Alaska, 4.9%, and without loyalty, negative 11.4%. And Southwest, 1.2%, which becomes negative 19.9%. Every single one. Take away the miles business and the 5 most profitable airlines in the United States lose money moving passengers through the air. Not in a crisis year. In 2024, a good year. The flying is not the profitable part. The flying is the thing that makes the miles worth having. Those 5 airlines generated $28 billion of loyalty revenue in 2024. And Delta's American Express partnership alone brought in $7.4 billion, which was roughly equal to the airline's entire operating profit. One partnership with one bank, worth as much as everything else Delta did that year. Now go back to that loan, because the details of what United pledged are stranger than the headline. The $5 billion was secured by MileagePlus brands and member data, specifically domain names, copyrights, patents, trademarks, software including the MileagePlus app, and a non-compete clause. No aircraft, no gates, no routes. In fact, United explicitly kept its slots, gates, and routes free to use as collateral for a separate government loan under the CARES Act. Given the choice of which assets to pledge to private lenders at commercial rates and which to pledge to the government, United gave the banks the loyalty program. And there is one more clause. Repayment takes first priority out of the accounts into which MileagePlus revenues are paid by its marketing partners, which means, in practice, United pledged its credit card revenue from Chase. The banks did not lend against an airline. They lent against a stream of payments from another bank. The valuation United published to support all this, $21.9 billion at 12 times 2019 EBITDA. United was not an outlier. American had an advantage appraised at between $18 and $30 billion. Delta mortgaged Sky Miles 2 months later. And consider the timing. In June 2020, nobody knew when people would fly again. The banks were not betting on a recovery in air travel. They were betting that Americans would keep putting groceries on a credit card that earned miles. That bet was correct, and it tells you exactly which half of the airline the market believed in. So let us restate what these companies are. A major U.S. airline is a consumer finance marketing operation that owns an airline. The loyalty program manufactures a currency and sells it wholesale to banks at high margin. The flight operation exists to make that currency credible, because a mile is only worth buying if it can eventually become a seat. This reframes decisions that look irrational from the outside. Why do airlines keep marginal routes? Because network breadth is what makes the currency attractive. A program that only flies you to 4 cities is not worth a premium credit card. Why has elite status become harder to earn and less valuable to hold? Because status is a cost center inside a currency business. The issuer wants more people chasing it, not more people holding it. And why did published award charts quietly disappear? United answered this too in the same 2020 disclosure, and it was listed as a selling point. To lenders, the airline noted that it can limit redemptions or devalue its proprietary currency as needed. Sit with that. Part of what made the collateral attractive was the issuer's ability to reduce what it owed its own customers at will. That is not a loyalty program feature. That is monetary policy. This has not gone unnoticed. In 2023, U.S. senators opened an inquiry into how airlines make money from frequent flyer programs, and specifically into whether devaluing miles that consumers had already earned amounts to changing the terms after the fact. That is a question you ask a bank. It is being asked of airlines because, functionally, that is what the profitable half of an airline now is. And there is a detail from that process worth sitting with. In February 2024, Senator Dick Durbin wrote to 4 chief executives, inviting them to testify before the Judiciary Committee about credit card competition. Ryan McInerney of Visa, Michael Miebach of MasterCard, Scott Kirby of United Airlines, Robert Isom of American Airlines. All 4 declined. Every one of them offered a deputy instead. Durbin's response was this: they are, quote, just too darned busy to come and explain the major source of profits for their businesses. Read that phrase again, because a United States senator said it out loud about a credit card program, and nobody in the industry stood up to correct him. One last turn. In 2020, Warren Buffett sold Berkshire Hathaway's airline holdings entirely, at a loss, and said the world had changed for the industry. It looked like the final word from the sector's most famous critic. And then in 2026, Berkshire filed a new position in Delta worth $2.65 billion, making it a 6.1% owner. Draw whatever conclusion you like about the timing, but notice which airline. Delta is the carrier with the strongest loyalty franchise in the industry and a single-card partnership on track for $10 billion a year by 2029. $4.50 a passenger. That is what the flying is worth. It always was. The business was never in the air.